Hello, Sonor family. Jules here. I got some interesting things in the works for you here. I got two drum and stage products in the works. Um, They'd be exclusive items, uh, and to the right people, they would both be of very good value. And one of them, I'm still in the engineering phase of that, and um, so I've got a mock-up built, and it really was not on par with what I'm looking for in the finished product. So I've got some semi-finished stuff that needs some finishing done, and so now I'm looking for a machine shop to take us home, and uh, hopefully that'll be happening pretty soon, and we'll have some finished products, and I can tell you what it is. Another one is a simple mod to an old model drum, and it's going to benefit a lot of people as well if it works. I've got some options here I'm digging through, trying to figure out the best one for what I'm trying to do, and I hope this shakes out. This will be a benefit to a lot of people, and so more information on that when I'm close enough to a finished product that I can market it. Got you another interview coming out tomorrow. This one's with Ron Wikso. Um, Ron's an old friend of Drum and Stage. When I did the first wave of interviews a number of years ago, Ron was one of them. And in those days, what I would do is I would send a list of questions to the person being interviewed. Todd Zuckerman did that twice with us. One was primarily Sonor. One was pretty much nothing to do with Sonor, but some of his projects going on and all that. Uh, Karl Heinz Menzel was another one, and Ron was another. Ron was one of my favorites, really. He sent about 250 zip files of audio, and in the very early years when I actually had drumandstage.com, I made that stuff available on the website. Then when it transitioned over to the Sonar Museum, there wasn't any way to host the files, so they've gotten lost, unfortunately. The second wave of interviews were audio and uploaded to YouTube, and Ron was involved in that. And not only as a subject for an interview, but Ron also wanted me to send him the completed video file. And what he did is he went and he spliced audio segments. So, like where we at one point we were talking about him playing with Santana, and so he had a segment of a live clip from playing with Santana, and this was true for several portions along the way. And he really upped the level of professionalism of the interviews I was doing at the time and really raised the bar. Uh, so he's rejoined us again. This time he's kind of left it up to me to do the editing and all that. And you know, so what I'm doing with him is in line with what I've been doing with everybody else. At the same time, I kind of miss his level of expertise and input. And I'm sure down the road I will get with him and get some tips and ideas to better things even further. Uh, Ron is a 35-year Sonar endorser, uh, and the irony is, and he'll tell this story, but he was playing Yamaha drums on the road with Cher starting in 1989. And there's a funny story about why he didn't get a Yamaha endorsement, and how he ended up with Sonar. And so I think that for Sonar guys, it's going to be a really good interview. He's currently on tour. He plays with Ross Valerie, who was the original keyboard player and singer for Journey, and he also plays with revisiting Credence. Uh, and his main gig is with Steve Miller Band, and he's playing a Sonar SQ2 and a wonderful Pro Light snare drum out on that gig, and phenomenal sounding drum set. And the front of house guy really knows how to make those things rock in a big way. So anyway, that's what I got going on with Ron this week, and I think you ought to watch it, even if maybe Steve Miller's not your thing, or maybe if you're not very familiar with Ron. He's a really good guy, and I think you'll enjoy the interview. Speaking of interviews, boy, we had one last Saturday, and it was Jeff Heintz who filled in for Todd Zuckerman on March the 7th. And I I would guess that anybody watching Coffee with Jules this morning has seen the interview. If you have not, it was a really good interview. What really surprised me was how it really blew up. Quick history on this. Jeff is a very private guy. He doesn't do social media or anything. I first talked to Mark Petrocelli about me interviewing him about Jeff filling in for Todd. And Mark felt like it'd be better to talk directly to Jeff, which really makes all kinds of sense when you think about it. Come to find out, Jeff was a Sonor owner for, about 8 years now. And if you haven't seen the interview, I highly recommend you watch it. There's some real irony in there when it comes to gear, and it's a really good story. And what really blew me away is that he shot up to the third most watched video very rapidly, and the numbers are still climbing. I mean, I was surprised when it hit 3,000, and now we're over 7,000 views, and we're like 22,000 with Gavin and 41 or 42 with Todd. So, when you take a guy that is not on social media. He very deliberately does not put his name out there. He's not going back and reading these comments on this video he did with me. And that's just how private of a guy he is. So for that thing to really take off and explode like that, I thought was pretty awesome. And one more time, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. Plan to watch the new one with Ron sometime this weekend. It's good, and I've packed all the Sonor related stuff up front, and then we go on and talk about several other things. I had to cut a lot out. We had 2.5 hours of commentary when we got done. I went back and whittled it all out, and then I had narrowed it down to what I felt like was of interest to about anybody, and it really was kind of directionless. It was like one of those when you read a review of a movie and they say that it just really had no direction. We were all over the place, and the thing about it is, and this is kind of true with my interviews, we kind of talk about what we're there to talk about, and then we just have a casual conversation, and very often things that come up in the casual conversation are things that would be of interest to Sonar people that would be on the channel watching. And I go through and I cut out the lion's share of my commentary. When it comes to these Sonar Talk interviews, people aren't here to hear my story, and I realize that. Sometimes I'll tell it to somebody that doesn't know it, just because we're exchanging information, and that might be the only time I have to really have a one-on-one conversation. And a lot of times, it does lead to interesting topics. So that was definitely the case with Ron. We had several things, and then when you kind of put them all together, it's like we're shifting gears or changing tracks or something in a very erratic way. And so I went and cut a lot of that down. But we're gonna see some new things happen with the channel soon. I'm gonna start doing some breakout conversations with these longer interviews where we go back and we take specific topics and they get released. So if you want to, just for example, if you want to see, why Todd left Sonar in the late 90s, you won't have to watch an hour and 42-minute video to see that story. If you want to see why he came back, or if you want to see bits and pieces of, like Gavin, how Gavin developed his snare drum, his two Protean snare drums, or whatever the case may be. Have it broken out where you can go back and just see little bits and pieces of a specific topic instead of having to watch the whole thing all the way through to make sure you don't miss anything. So, anyway, I got a lot of yapping going on this morning, don't I? Apologize for that. So I think I'll just wrap it up here, but I appreciate everybody. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We've hit the 1,000 subscriber mark now, where I get to see what the monetization looks like, and if I can afford to buy a cup of coffee with the monetization, I will show you the cup of coffee I've purchased. Ideally, and in my dreams, it'd be meditation to the point where I'd be able to buy some Sonor parts or, maybe a compressor snare drum or something to do an unboxing video. There's still some really cool stuff about the compressors that I haven't seen anybody talk about yet, and that's coming. Uh, I know it seems like I'm asleep at the wheel on the artist bronze snare drum, and ears just still aren't quite right yet. I'm trying to bluff and make myself think that I'm fully normal, but still not. And so it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Things are getting really good. The weather's been beautiful around here. Some really cool things are on the way, I promise you. And I'm still working on getting more interviews lined up. And if we can get a couple a month, I'll be happy. Ideally, I'd like to be able to release one every Saturday morning, but it's just hard to get the stars to line up. These guys are out working and, they're not just, and this isn't a paid gig for them. I guess you know that. They're doing this out of the kindness of their heart. And so, you can't really crack the whip and say, well, you've got to be on the, on the conference call, the Zoom meeting, whatever, at 3 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. That doesn't work that way. I'm at their mercy, and the last thing I'm going to do is put them under any stress about a volunteered interview for a small drum channel. So I've got enough sense to know that's not going to fly, and I've got enough integrity not to try to pull that anyway. So y'all just hang in there with me. More and more cool stuff is going to come, I can assure you. And anyway, like and subscribe and all that crap. And I appreciate everybody, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.